And I've been playing around with some translucent pearl clay here today, and I have this little fun idea. It's pretty simple, pretty basic stuff, I think. And you don't need a lot of supplies, just some clay and some ink. And I've just really been experimenting a lot lately. I've just been having fun. Quite honestly, I used to go into this like thinking up this grand idea and like all these things I wanted to do, and honestly, these things never turn out the way I want them to. Isn't that just like life? It's a life lesson for you in clay here, folks. Nothing ever turns out the way you think it's going to. That's the beauty of it. I still like to have a little fun in my little studio, so just kind of playing around here. I'll let you kind of watch, and I'll just chat your little ear off while I'm doing my thing on screen. I did a similar project the previous week, and I got that idea from Clay Boutique. So this is kind of like that idea, but a spin on it. So from here on out, it would be different than that previous one. But if you are new to my channel, I do have like almost 250 videos at the time of this recording, so you should go back and binge. I totally would. I'm just really into translucent clay lately. I just think that you can just do so much with it, and I just love adding inks to them because I feel like it kind of gives you the creative ability or freedom to be able to transform pieces. That and the inks are kind of fun because when you bake them up, they bake up different colors depending on what colors get mixed together and the temperature in the oven, so it kind of changes it a little bit, and each ink brand is a little different, so it's kind of fun just to play and experiment. And I mean, I'm just kind of a big kid here. I'm just playing with liquid and some plastics, right? Just having a little fun, mixing everything up. I think that this would be a lot of fun too if you did different color schemes, or maybe even just did like a rainbow color and did every color in the rainbow. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I think I might do that. I don't think I'll film it, but it's just kind of an idea for you. I just really just chose 3 colors that I thought looked good together. I have a color wheel, and then I'll just kind of like pick out colors from the color wheel. Sometimes, you know, they're complementary colors or using the primary colors. It's kind of just whatever. It's really whatever I feel. Or maybe I'll get inspiration from watching other videos, and I'm like, I really love that color combination. I think I'm going to try to make something. And then I do. Pearl clay is also a lot of fun. You can definitely use it in different things, and it is a whiter clay, so it will take on the color of other things too. That, and it's kind of got the little sparklies in it, and I really, really like that. So it always adds a nice little layer to your pieces. And of course, just chopping up all of your pieces, mixing them up, and then stacking them on top of each other. This is kind of like a Mugami cane, if you will. Basically, kind of, I guess, a little bit more controlled than the randomness that you would get from other ones. But I really liked the addition of putting the chopped up pieces in there in between the layers of translucent and the pearl clay, and watching how they all kind of evolve and come together and get stuck together and kind of mix and mush together a little bit. It was a lot of fun. I actually have another idea I'm going to be working on, and it's going to be kind of a spin off of this too. Sometimes when I'm doing projects, I'll think of something else I want to do, and I'm like, you know what? I wonder if I changed this about it, how much different my piece would come out. So sometimes I'll get ideas from that. So sometimes my ideas seem pretty similar, but really they're just all kind of just spins off of each other. And then I just film it for you and upload it for your viewing pleasure. I did want to keep the layers of translucent a little bit thin between each layer, and that's because it doesn't have any color on it, so I don't really want those big sections to be colorless, because when it bakes up it can get kind of yellowy, so I didn't really want that. It does add depth to the piece because there's no color in it. So it just kind of depends on how it mixes with the other colors in the clay or the other alcohol inks that are kind of by it. So I didn't really want those to be too thick. So you can't really tell as you're going along, obviously, because it's not baked. When you bake it, it bakes up clear, right? And I think honestly too that you could probably play with this, and then once you cut it in half and stacked it, you could roll it out a little bit flatter and then cut it again and stack it. I think that that would give you more of a layered look. It might be fun and kind of interesting to play around with that. But just kind of keeping it really basic here because I was trying to stay with my original thought pattern. Sometimes when I'm doing these, I get kind of carried away. Really, you can put your line strokes any way you want to. I was kind of going for like more of a seashelled, kind of a radial pattern coming out from one side. So, I mean, you can really just do whatever you want. You'll smush up one side and then put it back together in a block, and then you can flip it over and do the same to the other side. And honestly, you can do this as many times as you want, and you can flip it over and do the exact same way that the other ones are on the back, or you can do it in the opposite way. So like you would do it like against the grain one way and then flip it over and do it the other way. You can put as many lines as you want. Really, you can kind of just play around with it. This is where it's fun and it becomes your own piece. So I do recommend and encourage you to just kind of use these as like starting points for ideas. I do that a lot too. Like, that's a good idea, but I think that this way would be better because that's what I think. But look at that. It's really fun. It's got the little patterns in there. It's got the pearl in between each of the segments. I really like that. Now, the further you got down into the middle of the cane, it does lose some of that, the lines that you get, but they're still rather faint. So maybe if you made a thicker barrier, like using the pearl clay and making those layers thicker, which will help kind of stretch it down into the clay, I think that that might give you more of a color segmented piece in there. Also, I'm stretching mine out, so it's kind of pulling all the colors out, and you'll be able to see the pearl in between. It's really kind of whatever you want, but since I'm going to be putting this on the back of a piece of clay, I'm using the translucent. You can use whatever you want, but you'll lose the translucent if you use a solid color. And then just stacking all of my little slivers that I have cut onto that clay. You can do it on the front and the back. I did leave the back blank. You could put alcohol ink on the back if you wanted to also, if you didn't want to leave it just the plain, because it does create plaquing underneath because of the air bubbles and such in there. So if you don't like that look, you can always just put the alcohol ink on the back, and I'll show you at the end what I mean by the plaquing. But basically just kind of stacking all my pieces. There's no rhyme or reason. You're just making a veneer out of all of your cutouts. You could use the little sections that you cut and put them in a mold, and then put like scrap clay in the middle if you wanted to, and then like fill it up. I mean, you can really just do whatever you want as far as cutting it out and making your shapes. You don't have to make a veneer if you don't want to. But that's kind of my go-to thing. I think a lot of polymer clay artists on YouTube do that. And then of course burnishing, so you have a nice, beautiful, smooth, flawless surface for your clay for cutting out. I just love that. It just, I don't know. It looks kind of like water in a way, I guess. I don't know, something about it. I just love it. And then of course I'm just going to cut out all my shapes. I am not going to show you that. I just have a bunch of paper cutouts and basically just made shapes from that. So just cutting it out and getting all that together. And I am using up all of my scrap pieces. So you can connect the pieces back together if you want to, kind of like I'm showing you here, just to make like a new veneer out of it. Or you can just take it and kind of all just smush it all together. Really, you can do whatever you want. But I'm just gonna roll that out and make a veneer out of it, and then I'll just make additional pieces, cut those out, and just kind of see the difference between the original pattern and then the scraps from that. The piece that I actually created from this, I'll show you at the end, it has like a marble kind of a look to it. Like, you know those marbles you get, the glass marbles? It kind of looks like that. I'll point it out when I show you at the end. And then I have a few of my little strips left, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stack those on there front and back, and that's really it for that. This is my little piece. Some of these pieces, because of the red, blue, and green, which are kind of Christmassy, they actually kind of come out looking like little Christmas earrings. So, I don't know, it'd be kind of fun to do this for Christmas too. I just love those little, the white lined patterns in there. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, like the bottom of a pool when it's nice and sunny out and it has all those like ricochet marks on the bottom. I just love it. This was my favorite piece. I wanted to show you that first. I really, really, really like the way these turned out. And I actually can't wait to wear these. So this is the one, and then you'll see those little bubbles in there. That's the placking that I'm talking about. So you could just put alcohol ink on the back and baked it, and it would have covered it. You wouldn't have been able to see it. This is just another piece from that. And then another one, just random pieces that I made and kind of bent into different shapes. I was kind of, you know, feeling a little funky and fresh. So I just kind of played around, made some hearts. And then this is the one that kind of looks like a marble. If you look there on the left in the center, it has just kind of all that clear from the translucent. So, and then this is just something a little funky too, front and back. And then I'll show you these. These remind me of Christmas, these ones right here. Especially when you flip it over, they look like Christmas. Random, but there you go. I hope you enjoyed this idea, and I hope to see you next week. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye!